Hello, I'm Charlie Newton, and this is Conversations. Conversations is made possible by generous donations and grants from Humanities Tennessee and Artsville, Chattanooga, as well as from viewers like you. We're so happy to be here one more time with our friend and artist, Michael Scoffield. This is part two of our conversation. Just a little bit more, if you don't know him, let's give you a little background about Mike. Michael Scoffield is a native of Chattanooga, Tennessee. He received a BFA from Fisk University in Nashville and received his MFA from Georgia State University. He has been involved in many projects, including the Amistad exhibition curated by David Driscoll. Group exhibitions include Locating the Spirit, Religion, and Spirituality in African American Art at the Smithsonian Anacostia Museum in Washington, D.C. The MoCA Georgia exhibits Georgia artists selecting Georgia artists and Dissolving Stereotypes / Forging New Dialogues, an exhibition beyond race curated by Larry Walker in Atlanta, Georgia. 100 at 100 exhibition of the Welch School Galleries of Georgia State University. Urban Chrysaliosis, which he curated at the Tubman African American Museum in Macon, Georgia, and Red Clay Survey exhibit at Huntsville Museum of Art in Huntsville, Alabama. Artsfield 2020 and Artsfield 2021 in Lake City, South Carolina. He has also had solo shows in several regional museums and galleries, including the Hunter Museum of American Art in Chattanooga, Tennessee, the Tubman African American Museum in Macon, Georgia, Stan McCollum Gallery, City Hall Gallery East, September Gray Gallery, and Gallery 72 in Atlanta, Georgia. And we are so excited to be here once again with Michael Scoffield. So how's it going, Mike?
It's going quite well, Charlie. Thank you. And
good.
Yourself?
Good. I'm doing well.
Good.
Yes,
good.
Yes.
Good to be back here.
Yeah, glad to have you back. So, I just, in reading your bio, this is very interesting. The Smithsonian Anacostia Museum. What was that experience like?
Charlie, actually, that was the in my mind, the most pivotal experience of my career, because I was fortunate enough to exhibit with some really great artists, David Driscoll, Kevin Cole, Paula Phillips, and it was curated by Deborah Willis. So I really enjoyed that. And then
awesome.
Soon afterward, there was a symposium at Howard University with quite a few distinguished guests on the panel. So the experience was great.
When I think about some of the places, when I look at some of just a few of your exhibitions, we know you've had many more. My mind went toward the importance of, I noticed that your exhibitions included spirituality and included the Black aesthetic.
Right.
And may I go so far as to say even the themes around the diaspora.
That's correct.
And that's very important to me, because in my environment, I don't know what it's like in Atlanta. Well, I know it's different in Atlanta because I visited Atlanta many times. So I know it's like, a stark difference.
It is.
But, why is that so important? Because a lot of artists are just concerned with sales only.
Right.
And many African-American artists that I know of, they're so focused on the business side, and the business side is important, but they tend to forget the value that we have, and I think for me personally, I think that we have an obligation in this environment to be sort of protectors of our culture.
Absolutely. Not only that, the messengers of the culture.
Mm.
You know, that's the position that I approach in when creating art. I want to, I have a great deal to say, and I say it through my work. I approach my work from a spiritual perspective because we are spirit. And, you know, particularly as you say, in this environment, there has to be a spiritual connection in navigating through this environment and also dealing with it and, you know, overcoming it. So that's one of the perspectives, one of the spiritual perspectives that I have in creating the work. It to me is very important that I imbue part of myself into the work. And I as I mentioned the last time we spoke, I pray about when I'm in the studio and I'm getting ready to start a body of work. I've learned to pray about it because I don't want to be the sole force that creates the work. I pray for guidance from the higher power, and people may think that's cliche, but I recognize the origins of my talent. I recognize that, and I try to give thanks for that through my work. And in my work, I want the work to mean something. I don't paint just for the sake of painting. I paint because it's a cathartic for me. It's a vehicle for expression, and also a vehicle for me to try to touch others and bring some resemblance of understanding and knowledge to the situations that we're pressed with in today's society. I mean, we as a people, and I'm speaking as a Black man, particularly, we've experienced in the last 5-6 years, we've experienced a great deal of violence and degradation against ourselves. And how do you address that? How do you speak to that? How do you bring about some type of understanding? How do you learn to understand what's going on in your environment amongst you? I mean, there are these forces that are out there that are not they're not there for our benefit, so to speak. So we have activists, vocal activists, political and cultural, social activists speaking to that. And I try to do my part by creating work that speaks to that. So that's where we are with that. I'm always looking to, I don't want to influence anyone. I want to give people an opportunity to grow from their own self-discovery, so to speak. Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
When you was talking, I was thinking about how important it is for us to do what you're doing and share with the youth
Yes.
I find that at least around these parts around Chattanooga,
Yeah.
many times I don't even see the politicians who we vote to put in
Mm-hmm.
the office going out on any limbs in order to change the environment that our youth have to face every day. You and I have faced that.
Right.
Well, we came from exactly where many of the gangbangers and, the kids that find themselves in trouble, we came from the same environment.
We did.
And
But
go ahead.
and having said that, we had a support group.
Mm-hmm.
We came from the same environment, but the situation wasn't as egregious as it is today because we had some guidance. We had some type of guidance, either from the family structure, community, neighbor, or community structure. I know for a fact that there was quite a few adults in the community that showed a personal interest in my development. And I think I know these people. They've gone to heaven, but I remember them as though they were freshly in my mind yesterday. These people who guided me, scolded me, counseled me, nurtured me. These kids today don't have that. So that is the difference, I think, Charles. Most of us had caring parents at the time. So, and that's a part of that equation that is missing today. Parents tend to, rather than love their kids and guide their kids, they tend to just give their kids material things as a substitute for proper rearing.
Well, I'm going to make this disclaimer that
Okay.
you're speaking from your heart.
Yeah, I'm speaking from my experience. Yeah. Yes, I'm speaking
as a teacher, as a former teacher.
Yes.
What did you see in the classroom? I mean, as far as, did you see parents that I know, I must admit,
yes,
with some of the kids that I teach, the majority of the parents don't get the importance of them showing up.
Oh, absolutely.
And now what's in my focus now is to preach, just show up. Mm-hmm. If you just show up,
if you show up, you're not in the streets. If you show up, I have an opportunity to teach you something. I have an opportunity to show you something. I have an opportunity for you to interact with your peers in a safe environment. Well, now, when I was teaching, the very population of kids that are with us today was not very different from when I taught. I taught I hate to use the term the hood, but I taught in, very distressed neighborhoods. I taught
low income communities.
Very low
income Black communities, right?
Low income distress. When I say distress, it's not just low income, but I'm talking about the infrastructure, streets and bridges and roads were distressed.
Right.
So I taught these kids, but see, my philosophy as a teacher was there's no such thing as a bad kid.
Right.
There are misunderstood kids who have anger issues and need someone to look past that and embrace them, sincerely, because kids know when someone is sincere.
That's true.
And when they're not. So if you approach a kid, now you have to have standards, you have to have limits. Yes. It's not sugar coated. Right. You have I'm speaking from a personal experience. I treated them as though they were mine. I cared for them as though they were my kids. So from that perspective, and when you embrace them and they can feel that love, they can feel that
they want it.
Desire for you and them to be successful. I had a homeroom, Charlie, and every morning, there was this one student who had a child, and she never could get to school on time. Never could get to school on time, and it was affecting her grades. And on the campus, we had a daycare, but the daycare was full. I politicked almost on a daily basis with the director of the daycare to try to find room for this one more kid so I could get this student, very bright student, to say the least, to get this student's child in the daycare center. And one day, the director came up to me and says, "Mr. Scoffield, do you still, does such and such, this person still need daycare?" And I said, "Yes." And she found a spot for her. That kid came to school every day on time, graduated, went to junior college, and became successful. See, these are small victories that make teaching worthwhile. These are very small victories because there are hundreds and hundreds of cases like that. But when you get that one small victory, now that was not the only victory I experienced as a teacher, but that's just one example. So teaching is not, I don't think everyone should be a parent. And I don't think everyone should be a teacher, because it takes dedication. Now, I'm going to say some controversial things here. I had knockdown dragouts with parents. When a parent would come into a parent-teacher conference, coming through the door, then I immediately understand why this kid has a problem, because their parent is coming through the door swearing, using curse words. So I process that. Then it allows me to deal with that kid from a different perspective, because now I know I can't depend on that parent for support. So I have to find other support mechanisms,
That is so
administration.
Hard.
Yeah.
You can't depend on the parent for support. I mean, even with our nonprofit Splash, and I'm not just talking about parents, adults, period.
Yes.
The children, I have no problem with the kids. And even those who think they have anger problems, they've been told they have anger issues. That's been told to them and they believe it.
Right.
But it's adults who know it, some adults who know it all, some of the politicians, some of the, just people who are not really on ground level, get in the way many times of us reaching children with gifts and talents and abilities. Brilliant kids go by the wayside because they don't have that support that would get them, that will help them to just show up.
To succeed. If you show up, you have a chance to, you have a 50-50 chance of succeeding. That was my philosophy. You show up.
Yes.
And I'm always, making my rounds. Those kids who were deemed unruly, those are the ones I try to spend as much time with as possible. I seek them out on the campus, and I'll sit down, just sit down and have a chat with them. I very seldom took a lunch, but when I did, I didn't have lunch in the faculty lounge, nor did I have lunch over in the faculty section. I had lunch sitting amongst the kids, and when I didn't have lunch, I had this thing called What If? And on campus, there was this cornerstone that had been left on the campus grounds. And I'd go over to the cornerstone, and it was like a magnet, and kids would come over, and they'd be talking about what's going on in the hood, talking about the trap, or who got shot, or things of that nature. And I said, well, I was thinking to myself, this is not a healthy conversation to have. So I posed a question to the group, and I said, what if? And that's all I said. And they says, well, what if what, Mr. Scoffield? And I says, finish the sentence. Then I kind of gave them a little surprise. I said, what if you came to school every day and applied yourself and gave your studies 100%? How successful do you think you would be? Or what if the entire student population started to apply themselves and get a good, get a good education and graduate from school? Now, when you graduate from school, that's success in itself. Because in Georgia, there's a test you have to have, Georgia history test. You have to pass that test in order to get a degree, diploma. And that was one test that was preventing a lot of students from earning their diploma. So I started to, mentor these kids and tutor these kids about Georgia history. So they, internalize this, and I had a great deal of success.
Yeah.
I don't like to, brag, but I love teaching.
Well, no, it's just true. If you put the time in, it works. I mean, with Splash, our nonprofit, it's so simple. All we're doing is art classes.
That's all.
Just
you're doing a little bit more than that.
All the mentor, all the mentoring and everything else happens.
Yes,
with that.
Naturally. It happens naturally.
Naturally, no
it
problem.
Happens naturally.
These kids, they learn how to come in. The main thing I have to work on is getting them used to working. You're going to work for 2 hours.
Right.
So, and and that happens pretty quick. Over the first 2 or 3 classes they learn. Right. This is what we do here. And I'll tell them, when they want to start, going back to maybe how they act in school or whatever.
Right.
Here.
So you're able to keep them focused for 2 hours?
Yeah, it's amazing.
So that's great. That's great.
But they're working in my studio. So and artist studio is fascinating.
It is. There's so many visuals.
There's so much stuff.
That interests them. And that's why they want classrooms to be colorful.
Yes,
they want kids to be stimulated,
right?
I tried to do that at the beginning of the year. I try to create as much of a stimulating environment as I possibly could. So
yes,
and I wasn't too strict about kids moving about in the classroom. I didn't want to just relegate them to one section of the class. As long as they were orderly, they could do and move about as often as they. And Charlie, I would allow them to listen to music as long as it was not profane. I would allow them to listen to their music in the classroom under normal volume. So great.
Was it an art class that you were teaching?
Art class.
Yeah. That's powerful. Here and we're going to move on to your artwork.
Okay.
This is so fascinating what we're talking about, and conversations is about what happens when artists and people, my friends, we get together and start talking.
Right.
It's very natural for us to go in that direction.
Right.
But here in Chattanooga, one of the things I've noticed over the past years is that most of the students, especially art students, have no Black male
role model
or any Black art teachers.
Oh,
or it's the visual arts.
None at all. Wow,
None.
not even in the public school.
Maybe different now, They may have won now since COVID. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the history in the past, every time I would go into the schools, they didn't see people who looked like them. And
Right.
usually a lot of our boys, they were always under women as well.
Yeah.
So you had that whole dynamic, and the women who happened to be always white,
Mm-hmm.
they babied them too much. They babied them,
Right.
and allowed them to act up and act out, which when I would go in with an art project, you can't have that, because you never get anything accomplished. You never figure out what they're capable of.
Right.
It's almost, to me, in my mind, this is just my thinking, it seemed like, and it looked like the teachers did not expect the kids.
Much of the kids.
Yeah, they didn't expect much.
Yes.
And so how
that's a problem. Yeah, it's almost like social promotions, as long as you don't cause me any grief, if you just stay out of my hair, I'll give you a grade, and you go on to the next level unprepared. And I'm speaking from personal experience. You have to have limits and expectations. I had limits and higher expectations.
When we were students, we had very high expectations.
Absolutely. I don't know if you remember Mr. Southall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. He was our art teacher at Howard.
Yeah.
He was a very quiet guy.
Yeah.
Very quiet, laid back. But he had expectations. You just couldn't come into the classroom, right, and not do anything. You just, that's just. But kids at the time, they didn't have the nerve to do that, to come into the class and be disruptive. I can't ever remember.
But we had corporal punishment, though.
Yeah, we did. Yes, we did. And that was a deterrent. Yeah. I hate to say it, but I experienced that a couple of times over at Davenport Elementary, with Mr. Franklin. I don't know if you remember Mr. Franklin.
No, I don't know.
Oh, Commissioner Franklin, he was a principal.
Oh, Commissioner, yes, I know him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was principal at Davenport.
Okay.
And principal at Alton Park, but I had him in the fourth grade at Davenport, and I broke up a fight, and some kind of way I was implicated in the fight, and I got paddling as well. I said, well, okay, I'll never break up any more fights. So yeah, we had corporal punishment.
Yes, we did. Yeah. Mike, let's get into your work, because you intrigued me about the spirituality in your work, and your work. How would you describe it before we even look at the first painting, which is what I have on my phone, is 8 feet 46 inches.
Right. Yeah.
Before we even look at the image, how would you describe your work?
That's expressionistic with some figurative elements. That piece, 846, is a reference not to a length of space, but a length of time. 846 was the amount of time. Oh, Liddy. Oh, okay. Can you hear me, Charlie?
Yes, I can. I'm still here.
Okay. So we're just going to look at this image, right?
Yeah. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Well, this image is a time reference to the murder of George Floyd. And what I wanted to do in this image, because this is my iteration of George Floyd's murder, because I experienced other artists creating work surrounding that incident. So I think I decided I'd do something, but I wanted to didn't want it to be overtly figurative. In some of these images, you can actually see overt figurative elements, like the the image at the bottom right,
Mhm.
the man who has his head bowed, um, and the image to the top left that has a resemblance to Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. I don't know if you can see that extended arm, shoulder, neck, head. Well, and he's wrapped in this cloth. And the other images in the center, the white and black image with the extended arms,
Mhm.
and the rooster on the bottom left. Now, these are not, some of these images just happen. They are not images that I consciously create. The paint and the shapes create the image. This image has a combination of sand and paint skins. If you look at the image on the bottom right, the face of that image is dried paint skins. And the paint skin was applied before I even created the figurative male image around it. And if you also pull it back a little bit, okay, right above that, there's a baseball cap to the northeast of that image. There's dry paint skins there and a blank face underneath that. So this is just my version of George Floyd's murder, and it's called 846. And the scale I think is 72 by 86. 86 tall, 72 inches wide.
Okay, 86 by 72.
Yes.
So 86, how many feet is that? About
That's a little over 7 feet, a little short of 8 feet.
Mhm.
Yes.
And this is acrylics.
It's acrylic and mixed media on canvas.
Man, so did you call these expressionistic or impressionistic?
Expressionistic.
I agree with that totally.
Yes.
So it's not, but the figures make it something else.
It's.
I wouldn't call it abstract expressionist at all, would you?
Well, it's the abstract expressionism is there,
yeah,
with a heavy figurative element. Now, the elements are random.
mm-hmm.
I paint around a surface and I create the figurative element. It's not necessarily intentional, it's happenstance, so to speak. I didn't want to be overtly figurative, but in some of the ways that I think there are only two overtly figurative elements of human shapes, and that's the image to the bottom right and the image in the top left. The others can be considered abstracted expressionism.
Well, I really see a figure that brings to my mind a crucifixion.
Okay.
And that's the one at the right, top right, the Lord.
Center right.
Yes.
Yes.
The Lord's black and white here.
Right, right.
And I see one, this is just in my mind. I see an extended arm on the cross, his out to our right, but it would be his left arm.
Right.
And it may be because I painted a lot of, crucifixions.
Religious, yes. Yes.
But and then that strong line that goes across from the right hand side to the left hand side of the canvas, for me further accentuates a cross-like figure, and there's a strong line going from the bottom to the top as well to
Right.
also reinforce this. And I know this wasn't intentional. I don't believe that was intentional, but
Oh no, it's not. You just pointed it out to me. You see how beautiful art is, Charlie? You see how
well,
beautiful.
hey, I'm looking, brother.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this thing.
You see how beautiful abstract expressionism is.
Yeah.
Because you're pointing something out to me in my own work that I
Yeah.
never saw before.
And it goes all the way to the top. I mean, it's like the whole thing, there's a cross in the middle.
Yeah, there's a strong diagonal and vertical intersection there.
I love it. I love that. It's almost like this is a very successful piece, by the way. Is this for sale?
Yes, it is.
So I just want the viewers to know this is for sale. It
is for sale, but they would have to have a substantial wall space for this.
Yes. But the figures are almost like hanging off of this cross.
Well, yeah. Well, the figures seem, well, I can't, because I'm just now seeing that. I can't speak to it authoritatively.
I hear you.
But the figures are trying to move away from the center of the piece.
Okay.
If you can see that, they're trying to move away from center to left, from center to right, from center to the foreground of the piece.
So tell us again the 8 feet 46 inches. Tell us the meaning of that again.
This is in my iteration of George Floyd's murder. And the 846 is in reference to the amount of time that Officer Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's neck. Now, it's titled 846, but it's also in reference to the other incidents of brutality, police brutality, experienced by various people of color throughout the last 4 or 5 years. It's not just title 846,
but the last 400 or 500 years, my brother.
Yes. It's a reference to police brutality in total.
So the use of the black paint, how important was that in this piece?
Well, I use black a great deal, but I don't, when I'm using a color, I don't think about how important the color is to the piece. I think about how important the color is in relation to the color beside it. So I'm creating it from a compositional perspective, color composition, color combinations.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. Because we can, so the black and the white is very symbolic, because white being a tint and black being white being a
shade.
Yeah,
black is a shade and white is a tint. Yeah. Okay.
White being a tint. So so this is just sort of like automatic. You decided to use black and white.
Well, it was unconscious.
Okay.
It's highly unconscious.
So
now
that's how you work anyway, isn't it?
Beg your pardon?
Is that how you work anyway?
Yes, I always, my wife is an artist, and she tells me all of the time that I think too much about creating the work. I need to just be free and let the work, just flow and express itself. And that's what I've learned to do, because when you've been taught certain aspects of art, like the elements and principles of design, it's very difficult to move away from the academia of creativity. Yeah, and that's why when I look at work of children and teenagers, it's so fresh and free, and I try to paint like that. But there again, I'm restrained by my intellect and my knowledge of the and the working knowledge of elements and principles of design. So I have to I grapple with that and have to resolve that. Yeah,
I know it's difficult.
it is very difficult.
Let's go to the next painting. American.
This is American Shirabachi. Now,
wait a minute. You keep using these big words on me, brother. What is Shirabachi?
Okay, well, Charlie, let me first explain. This is a project. The images that I sent to you.
Okay.
Is a project that I'm working with now. Before this piece, there's a piece called. No, this is not American Shirabachi. This is choice of color.
Oh, okay. Well, the title that you have on this is American Shirabachi.
Oh, that's not.
That's a mistake.
Yes, that's. You see another image with a lot of black and red. That's American Shirabachi.
Okay.
Choice of color.
Okay.
The next one after this. So let's look at American Shirabachi.
Is that it right there?
That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
So the title is not.
The title is not choice of color. The one you showed prior to this is called choice of color.
Okay. So this is American Shirabachi.
This is American Shirabachi.
Okay. Is this the one you want to look at now, or
this is the one I want to look at now? Then we're going to go back.
Okay.
Because they're sequential.
Okay.
And the reason they're sequential is they are moving from objectivity to a non-objectivity.
Okay.
So that's and the reason they do that, they're doing that is because this is a project that I'm working on, and I'm in the process of writing an essay about these pieces. But the first piece we looked at was 846. Very figurative. This is American Shirabachi.
Okay.
Which is more abstract. It's the figurative elements have been broken down, although there are some left. The greater body of the surface has been broken down into sections of abstraction.
Okay.
And this is, I call this American Shirabachi because I don't know if you're a war historian, and I am. Not because I like war.
I am.
It's because I find it interesting as to why wars began in the first place. Mount Shirabachi was a mountain on one of the islands of Iwo Jima in the South Pacific during World War II. And a great deal of life was lost on Mount Shirabachi. American life, but particularly the lives of Japanese, because in order to give up, to surrender, was disgraceful to them, So as a result of that, they, would rather die than be captured. And as a result of that, thousands of Japanese lost their lives, thousands, quite a few Americans, but I think the kill ratio was like 5-1 during that fight, during that battle. But because the reason I call this American Shirabachi is because uh, hundreds of Black people are being killed in the streets of America. And from all perspectives, it appears as though that law enforcement seems to think that they are doing the country a service by killing so many Black people. It's like a badge of honor. This is just my perspective and my take on what's going on. But I gave it the name American Suribachi because there are so many Black men, people of color. Well, I just won't say Black men because Black women are losing their lives, Hispanics and Asians. So I thought American Suribachi would be an appropriate name for this piece because of the loss of life, the great deal of loss of life that's occurring in our streets. So, and then, also you can see that the figurative element, there's maybe one, there are two distinct figurative elements in the piece, and they are located in the center of the painting by two opposing profiles. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So we've got one profile that's a profile in red, and another profile, a profile in Black, and muted tones. Yeah, yes, there you go. You see the Black profile?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then there's this pink and red and brown and blue intermingle in the profile to create the side of the face. Mm-hmm. And if you look north west of that, you'll see a frontal view of a face. And that face looks like a skeleton. Do you see the skull?
I can't tell which the skull, but
okay, look at the center.
Yeah, I can see that in the center. Yes.
Well, northwest of the.
Yes. Okay, I see it.
You can see a
yes.
frontal view of a face, which resembles more of a skull than a face. There you go. Mm-hmm. Now I saw that. I knew about that.
Okay.
So you may see some things in this that I've not seen before.
I tell you what struck me with this is your use of the grays and blues.
Aren't they beautiful?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love I love subtlety. Mm-hmm. And a subtle transition from a light gray to a medium to dark gray, even to Black, and a mixture of green and gray. Yeah, I love creating those subtle color transitions. I'll
tell you something else I'm noticing.
Okay.
It has a real feel of a very high horizon line.
Collage, you say?
Horizon line.
Oh, horizon.
Horizon.
Okay. I don't see that.
A very high horizon line.
Okay.
For instance, if you was flying over in a bomber, a bomber plane,
okay.
Bomber.
Oh, so you're looking at a topical plane's eye view. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, then you get a land mass and
yes,
and structure. Yes. But I've never looked at it from that perspective. I would love for you to write about my art.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how your emotions will be one place, mm-hmm. and the intellect, the subconscious part of it, will work these things out so that you can read the painting, even though things may be unintentional, but you can still, when you begin to read the painting, and that's why I try to teach the kids, well, the advanced students,
Right.
that you can read a painting.
You can. You can.
The shape,
regardless of how much
Yeah.
information is in the painting.
right? You can read it.
Yes.
And so that's the first thing I do. I began to read the painting, things began to appear to me, and I guess that's where the academia comes in.
Yeah.
But just a lot of looking.
Just by looking, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because in order to paint, you have to be able to see.
Right.
And if you can't see, then there you have no starting point.
No, you don't.
You just put in paint on a surface, but you have to see before you even attempt to paint. You have to see in your mind and your subconscious what you think the painting or what you want the painting to look like. And then from that, the painting starts to evolve. And oftentimes in its evolution, the painting itself takes over and it tells you where to lay
paint. That's a good time when that happens.
Yeah,
that's what we want to happen.
When that happens, I'm like, okay, let's go further into it. But then it'll tell you
this is what the painting wants to be, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have I communicate with the work,
Yeah, it does. It communicates. It's hard for younger artists to understand that. And some older artists who don't spend the time that you have in studying.
Yes.
I think studying art is very important.
Very important.
Because a lot of painting you could put, like you mentioned, putting paint on the canvas or the paper, but it could be so thin, the meaning can be so thin.
Yes.
That now, of course, to the untrained eye, they can't tell the difference, but to the trained eye, that this person hasn't really put any of his life.
Absolutely. The painting is unfinished, so to speak.
Yeah.
And, there are minimalists who paint in that fashion. And see, there's always there's room for
even some of the minimalists, like Rothko, for instance.
Yes, but
his painting has depth. I guess you would call him an abstract expressionist too, but it was very minimal expressionism.
Yes, but the language of his paintings came through the nuance of colors. You may see an orange swath. But in that orange swath, there are so many different variations and shades of that orange. It seems to vibrate. And that's the beauty of Rothko's work. It vibrates to me. It's electric, A lot of people, they see colors on top of color, but they don't see the underlying subtleties that come through that. And I've studied Rothko. I love his work, and I've been influenced by his work in that I try to create subtleties of shades in the work, and that's what I got from Rothko.
I see a little bit of I see the abstract. Your work is very abstract expressionist. However, the abstract expressionists did not use black that much. I don't remember any of them using black, unless it was maybe Rothko. But I see something else that maybe you might disagree with.
Okay.
I see a little hint of influence of early Pollock.
Early Jackson Pollock?
Early Pollock.
Oh, you're suggesting the drip in the center there? Yes.
Where the forms are coming together reminds me of an early.
You're talking about early Pollock before the drip method.
Yes.
Okay, I hadn't seen very much of Pollock's work before that, so I couldn't speak to that.
Well, to me, in my mind, early Pollock is very um, it, ritualistic.
Yes, and structured. I mean, he's
Very
like,
structured.
yeah, very
Yeah,
structured.
and I
Yeah,
see structures in your work. I see,
right.
like that. Um, I don't know what color that is, like that ochre with the blue modulated into that ochre and the white
Right,
resting on top of the large black, you know, uh, form,
right.
like a like it's on a mountain or something, a mountain or a crevice or something. But
Mhm.
I see forms on top of forms and butted up against forms.
Yeah, forms. Yes, that's the way I've learned to paint. There again, when I'm painting, I'm approaching it from a color perspective, but out of that, forms tend to emerge. And when I see one of these forms emerging, if I think it's germane to the work itself, and if it's working, and I'll leave it. I don't necessarily paint over things until I've fully examined the whether it's going to work in the piece or not. Now, I've painted over some beautiful, beautiful surfaces that I wish I could just take out of the painting and use it into something else. But I've not always been able to do that.
I like how you painted that muted blue gray over the extreme red in the bottom left hand.
Isn't that beautiful?
Left hand side, yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it has less information, but I think that is one of the strongest sections in this piece. It's just this vibration, this color, this red trying to push through the surface of the blue. It's like it's welling up, and then one part of the red seemed to succeed more so than the other. That's.
You didn't know I saw that, did you?
Well, I'm glad you did. Now I saw that when I was painting it, and that when I saw that I left it alone.
Yeah, yeah.
I left it
Don't
alone.
touch it.
Yeah, don't touch that. And I wanted to see how it would relate to the rest of the work, because that is my resting spot in this painting.
Okay, for the eye.
That's
Yeah.
where the eye rests.
Mhm.
So
For a second.
yes, for a second, because there are things that are adjacent to it that will pull you over to it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go to the next painting.
Okay.
Now I'm going to have to go get a cup of water,
Okay.
but I want you to
Well,
talk
go
about.
back to.
Oh, yes, right. Yeah, this one.
Yeah, this is
Right.
called choice of color.
Okay. Oh, just start talking about that one while I get my water.
Okay.
Tell us about it.
Choice of color is a piece that I painted over it because I wasn't satisfied with the image, the previous image that was there. It was a lot more electric than this. There was a lot more going on with it. It seemed to have been the surface to me was too busy, and
Okay.
I had to knock it back quite a great deal. I mean, if you look at the bottom left of this, you'll see the curvilinear drip and methods that incorporated into this. Well, this piece was pretty much like that all over,
Okay.
and I wasn't happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I put it to the side, started
Okay.
on something else, and I came back to it, and I started to just paint blocks of color into the painting over the under painting, and I painted blocks of color. You can see where I
That's a
painted.
good decision to do that.
Beg your pardon?
That was a good decision.
I think so. I think it was. And if you can see in the center right, there are blocks of color painted on top of one another.
This may be one of my favorites.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
this
glad.
is one of my favorites. And I don't know why, but well, I like figures.
Okay.
So I'm seeing large figures, large shapes.
Yes.
And I don't know why, but I also like that color ochre, the yellows.
Yeah, yellow ochre.
I use yellows in a lot of my work, you know.
Okay. Now,
I don't know why I use yellow, but
yeah. Well, yellow is a beautiful color. It's so versatile. You can do so much with it.
I think it's hard to work with yellow.
You think? I love working with yellow.
To make it work.
Yes. Now
Most
you have to.
Don't like to use a lot of yellow.
Yeah. When you're working with yellow, you have to be aware of the fact that if you use the wrong color, it'll change the yellow altogether.
Yes.
But there's a section on this piece that I can't see, and I don't know if you can see it over there, but can you? Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
okay, all right, that's all right.
Okay.
This piece is called Choice of Color.
Now isn't that a square? It's almost square, isn't it?
It's 48 by 48.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a perfect square.
Okay, I may have to get that one from you, bro.
Oh, I love it. Love it. Let me know when you want me to.
You got to work out a plan.
Yes, let me know when you want me to ship it to you. Matter of fact, you can come and get it. I love for you and Iantha to come visit.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere these days because of COVID. We're still waiting. Yeah.
Same here. I'm having a family get together. Usually have it at the house, but we're getting together in a larger space in a hotel.
Well, I'm going to give you a disclaimer. I'm going to just say, be careful, because even we just had tragedy in my family.
Oh, you did?
COVID. Yeah. So I try to warn everybody.
Were they vaccinated?
I don't think so, but Colin Powell just passed away.
Yes, and he was vaccinated, but he had underlying health conditions.
Right.
Yeah. So it affected his immune system.
Yes.
So it neutralized the effects of the vaccination.
And it affects different people different ways.
It does. It's
amazing. It's really a dread pandemic.
It is. And a lot of these vaccines they only have 95% efficacy.
That's true.
So if there's a 95% efficacy, then you fall into that 5%.
Right. You could.
You can be vaccinated and still not be protected. So I think that was one of the things that affected him.
Right. Well, we're planning on getting our second, our booster on tomorrow if things go well.
Okay. Well, stay close to the house, because I got my booster and it didn't affect me at all, but it affected the Mrs. and
okay,
she didn't feel well afterwards. But over 3 days, she was feeling herself again.
Okay.
But getting back to this painting, this is.
Were you going to mention that little pink area?
Absolutely. That's why I wanted you to shrink it.
Okay.
Because that's a pivotal part of the area of the painting in my mind.
Right.
As I was saying, I painted over this because I wasn't satisfied with the original, and the original was pretty much like the bottom left part of this painting. So after my dissatisfaction, I started to paint just blocks of color and then leaving some of the underlying paint to come through. And that's what you get in this red area here. That some of that was the original painting. There's a face in the center. Actually, there are two faces in the center. There's a Darth Vader that's looking right at you. And then there's a face, a profile of the face that's fractured that acts as Darth Vader's chin. I don't know if you can see that. And to the left of that is a face that has some of the drip method that I use coming through it, creating the features of the face. Now I created that oval shape with by pouring paint into a Waffle House plate. The Waffle House plate has a beautiful texture, and I wanted to repeat that texture into the paint. So I poured paint into the Waffle House plate. When the paint dried, I peeled it out and I fastened it to this. I didn't use glue, I used acrylic paint, and I adhered it to the surface. And I tore it, and there was a rip in it. You can't see it unless you are up close. There's a rip in it on that black line that goes across the eyebrow. I don't know if you can see that. That black drip represents the eyes and the nose and the chin and the cheek. Okay, and
look, I'm sorry.
And below that, there's this ochre, the yellow ochre body with the arm. Now, I intentionally did that. And if you scroll over to the other way, then keep going. There's a profile, a white profile or a pink profile, and there's a double profile there. There's a
right going in the opposite direction.
Yes, going in the opposite direction. Well, this pink profile has a hood on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's this piece is narrative in that it suggests that only Black people that wear hoods are accosted by law enforcement. And it seems as though but being a Black artist, I have to speak to things that affect me, and police brutality has been one of the things that has affected me to the point that I paint about it a great deal in my work. But if you Trayvon Martin was killed because he was walking in a neighborhood with a hood on, and he looked suspicious. But there are thousands, if not millions, of white people who do the same thing, and they're not approached by law enforcement or any neighborhood cops. So that's why this is called a choice of color. You know, if you had a choice, you've heard the song by Curtis Mayfield, Choice of Color.
Yeah.
If you had a choice of color, which one would you choose, my brother? If there was no day or night, which one would you prefer to be right? So, you know, that's coming from this perspective. And I think, like you say, it's very very successful. I'm going to upload these to my Instagram page and Facebook in the coming days. Okay. Now, this is Blood on the Badge.
Mm.
And I think this is a very strong piece, highly abstracted, very little figurative elements, but there's a lot of energy, nuance of color, and just the drip method that I use incorporated into this.
Now, what's the size of this piece?
This piece is 60 by 48. I don't have anything smaller than 48 by 48, you know. But this, I think this piece is very strong, very strong. The title was derived from the title of a fictional book written by Detective Harris. Are you familiar with Detective Harris?
Oh, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, Detective Harris was a fictional character on television on Barney Miller. I don't know if you ever watched Barney Miller. It's one of my favorite shows. I think Barney Miller is genius. And he was a Renaissance man, dressed well, was very well spoken, well bred. He was far and beyond an ordinary man. And he wrote a book called Blood on the Badge, and it was about the work that officers do every day protecting citizens from the criminal element. Now, the difference between that precinct that Barney Miller, Wojciechowicz, Detective Harris worked in, they were officers of integrity. You know, they violence was a last resort to them. Now we're talking about a television series,
Fiction.
which I think contemporary law enforcement can learn a great deal from. So I appropriated that title from Harris's book, Blood on the Badge, because Blood on the Badge in the television series was about the honorable work that law enforcement was doing. Now, if you flip the script, Blood on the Badge also has a dual meaning, and that the meaning contemporaneously suggests that those elements that were upheld by the officers on this fictional sitcom does not apply to contemporary law enforcement, and that they use that badge as an excuse to go out and wreak havoc on the population. So that's how this painting received its name. But if you look at the painting, the beautiful abstractedness. Now you can tell that blue is my favorite color, and the nuance and the subtleties of the blue, how the blue moves up to the center of the painting and it washes over and cascades down both sides. And then you get this very intense light blue that suggests light behind a dark shadow. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you got this web-like structure with this light blue behind it. I think that's grand. I think this just some of the most beautiful stuff you could ever see. And then you have this white in the center that transitions over to this soft blue, green, gray. to calm you down. Even though there's a lot of things going on in that section, I still feel calmness in that the bottom right section of the painting. And then it pushes up into this yellow. It's like a brick wall that goes behind this, indescript image that comprises the red, the blue, and the yellow, ochre, and gray that anchors the center of the piece. See how that wall moves behind that?
Yeah.
It trails off back to the left.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's almost like a bridge.
Yes. Yes. It's
wow. I just saw something else too, man.
Yeah.
Now I know that's unintentional.
Okay.
It's almost like that blue turns into like the backside of a person hanging off the bridge.
Okay. Okay. No, I see that. That's the shape of some type of an animal.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. I saw that. That's a blue lamb.
Yes. Okay.
The backside of a blue lamb.
Yes.
I noticed that because you can see the quarter hind legs.
And the knee and the
Yeah. Yes. I saw that. I saw that. I saw that when I just as I finished the piece.
Okay.
But to see this in person, we talked about the last time we talked about how I wanted people to be drawn to the work,
yes.
and they'll see one section of the work, and they'll be drawn closer to the work.
Right.
This piece does that, because there's so many small sections of in this painting that is so dynamic and is beautiful, and the way the colors commingle and create shapes. This piece does that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just noticed that is that a it's kind of like a very light lavender in the bottom left hand corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, I mean that's a deep, rich blue. I see that. To see it in person, that's a very deep, rich blue. With see that light blue?
No, I mean the bottom right.
Bottom right. Okay, yes, down here. Yes.
Yeah, bottom right.
Yeah, that's the transitional. Lavender blue. Yes.
Yeah.
That whole section is, if you look at it, just that section alone, then you can start to discern figurative elements in that.
You can. I see a figure. I see a female figure leaning.
Female figure.
Yes. Very. It's like a sketch.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a painting or a work of art in itself.
Mm-hmm.
If you just
a lot of shapes that remind me of the human skeleton.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the lines, a lot of the black lines, the way they come together, sort of,
right.
Echo,
the skeletal.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Just makes me think about the skeleton for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, it's interesting. Let's go to the next one.
Okay. Okay. Now, previously, I explained to you that 846 was highly figurative, even though the figures were expressionistic, and that the preceding works after that started to break down the figure and meld into more abstraction. Well, this is the link between the figurative and the abstraction. And this piece is called Cornerstones. And if you notice, there's very little recognizable figurative elements in the majority of the piece. But if you look at the center, there seems to be three vertical images or figures that are standing there. And those make up, and they're nebulous, but they make up the figurative element that's present in this painting. And it's called cornerstones, and it's called cornerstones for a reason. And my reason is that if you look at the painting and each four corners, they're almost sections of solid color. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, even though there's some gradation in the color, but as a whole, that block in each corner can, act as a solid color. What this is about is that during this time of unrest and police brutality in the Black community, the ones that have stepped up and are speaking out about, all of the things that are happening are women of color.
That's true.
So I before I named this painting, I examined it, I studied it, and that's what I saw. I saw these three strong ladies in the center of this piece, holding. You see that vertical line that goes across the center?
Yes.
That vertical line and those three female figures are pulling toward the center, holding the community together. I love this piece. I love this piece because Black women, sisters are stepping up and speaking out. And I say that because I would love to see not only just Black women doing that, but I would love to see Black men who are out in the public eye doing that. Now, we have political figures and we have talking heads on television that speak to it, but they only speak to it on television. They don't actually go out and galvanize the community. And that's what Black women are doing today. They're galvanizing the community, and they're fighting for the civil rights of people of color, as well as voting rights. I really admire Stacey Abrams. Are you familiar with Stacey Abrams?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I admire her a great deal. So I'm tempted to just gift this painting to her. I'm sure she would appreciate it. But that's she was one of the influences of this painting. Now, I didn't think about Stacey Abrams and paint this painting. I painted this painting with an idea that I wanted to create a sense of anchoredness in the Black community, and the only people that I saw that were anchoring the Black community were women of color, and she is one of them. But there are thousands out there, hundreds, I'd say, if not thousands. And I wanted to dedicate this piece to them, and I can see the female figures standing there, pulling the community together from both ends. And if if you enlarge this, you can actually see other things going on with it. See the curvilinear lines.
Yes.
Inside of shapes. That's part of my Pollock influence I was telling you about. But along with using Pollock's drip method, I incorporated a method that I coined dynamic dispersion. Now that word's been used and it has certain meanings, but I use it, and the meaning for me is that when I apply this drip method and I apply water to the paint, it disperses it in a way that I can't control, and thus the name dynamic dispersion. But to see it, it's very moving.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about those, but you just explained it.
Yeah. Okay. Good for me. Now, see, there are also other figurative elements in this. If you look at the bottom, not the very bottom, but the lower right, you can see what looks like two figures walking out of the painting. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. The blue, yes, and the black, and then the amber with the black heads. They're like a group of figures on the right there. See those? Mm-hmm. I don't know if you can see the blue. Yes. And then the black figures. They look like figures that are walking, to east of the painting. Very strong piece. I love it.
Let's go to the next painting.
Okay.
See if we can get the next. Is this the last one?
No, this is not the last one.
Okay.
This is.
We're really going over time, I think.
Oh, we are. I think we can stop here.
No, let's try to get these in.
Okay. Well, this is titled Orange Utopia, and you can see the this in sharp contrast on your side.
Right.
You can see them in sharp contrast.
The orange and the blue, yes.
Not just the orange and the blue, but the texture underneath. Can you see that?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I can see the texture. Yes.
Yeah. See, can you now? Okay. This is part of my dynamic dispersion technique. You see how it breaks up? It looks like a landmass, a broken landmass with tributaries.
Right.
That's part of my new technique that I use, and I think I'll be using that from now on. And I call this Orange Utopia because there's a great deal of success in the Black community, but the success seems to be so fractured that the success has not been able to galvanize. When I say fractured, we've got probably 20 billionaires, Black billionaires in this country, hundreds of millionaires, but they've not gotten together to create a financial dynamic with the wealth that they have. They can wield a great deal of influence and power with that wealth if they came together and created opportunities in the Black community. That's why I say Orange Utopia. We know that what utopia is, a state of greatness, but the orange part of that suggests that it is toxic and have not been allowed.
Yeah, that's okay. I never thought about that orange.
Yes.
Being toxic.
Toxic. It's orange. It's toxic and not been allowed to galvanize. Everyone's out there doing their own thing, but if you eliminate the toxicity, Black wealth can come together and create electric cars or cell phones or banks, things that Black people spend money on a daily basis. So that's the title of this piece.
Let's go to the next one, and then we're
Okay.
gonna. Okay. Now you just took all the color out almost.
Yes, I'm reducing this to its purest element. Reducing it to its purest element, and this is called Deep Well, Darker Than Blue. Now I'm referencing again.
Curtis Mayfield.
Yes. Okay.
From the same generation.
Okay. Right. Good. I love it. But it's timely today.
It's very timely.
Very timely today. We are a deep, dark well, but we have yet to discover who we truly are. And
you know what? And I'm going to put in a plug for my up and coming exhibition.
Okay.
January in 2022, the Black Bible. So that's Bible. All. I just want to mention that.
Absolutely. By all means.
Yeah, there's a lot we don't know, a lot of mishistory, false history across the board. And not only do we not understand who we are, our kids don't understand who we are, right, but I believe there are people in the world who know true history.
Who know who we are, yes.
Yes.
And that in itself is the reasons for a lot of the things that have happened to us, yes, as a people.
No doubt.
It's orchestrated, Charlie.
Yes. It's on purpose. Yes.
It's on purpose, yes.
I mean, I never, I get this all the time. People telling me, well, I didn't know. It wasn't me. I wasn't aware. We never. Well, it's like, wait a minute. You're educated. Absolutely. Why don't you know? You ever been to the library? I mean, yes, just look around you. You do have common sense, don't you?
Absolutely.
Do you think we're supposed to be oppressed? Or do you think we're supposed to be, destitute? Do you think Black people are supposed to not have jobs or livable wages? But you know what? I thank God for Reverend Barber, because there are more, as far as numbers, mm-hmm, whites who are low income and under the poverty level than Blacks, but there's a higher percentage of Blacks,
right?
Because there are, we are a minority in this country.
That's correct.
But this ignorance, this faint ignorance.
Yeah. Ignorance in that sense is not bliss. Ignorance in that sense is deadly and crippling. Yes.
And self-destructive.
Absolutely.
With the dominant culture is destroying this nation.
Well, by leaps and bounds. And I think it's, I would like to say that it's a situation of, cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yes.
When someone destroys or seek to destroy their own environment for the sake of materialism, that's a frightening concept. When you're willing to destroy the environment in which you exist to make a dollar, goes beyond the pale.
But you know what? This painting is very environmental.
Oh, definitely. Environmental, and it's spiritual. Very spiritual, very environmental, because our atmosphere could one day look like this. Now, if you've seen contemporary photographs of the atmosphere in China, the atmosphere is so toxic that people have to walk around in masks. They were wearing masks before the pandemic.
And people here complain about masks.
Yes.
but people in China and Japan wear masks, have been wearing masks for years
to protect their lungs from
Yes.
toxic environments. Yes.
You know what? And I'm going to, one good thing about COVID is the mask wearing, because it can protect you against the flu.
It can.
Well.
Yeah. But my doctor is always trying to get me to take that flu shot. I think I took it 2 years ago, but I've never had the flu in my life. I'm 69 years old and have never had the flu. Praise God.
Praise God.
I don't want to speak too soon, but
right. Don't want to brag.
Yes. But if you eat properly and take care of yourself, get rest, and not put yourself in contact with people that to be unhealthy, then you're safe. Yeah. So I've had one flu shot, but I don't think I took the COVID shots, but never had the flu. And the COVID and flu are two different strains. So I'm not going to say, wow.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm touching things I shouldn't be touching. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's want to go to the next one.
Yes, let's go to the next one.
That's the last one.
This is very atmospheric, and this is very, this one is very, it's like it's a landscape, okay? It's very atmospheric and as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I see a landscape. I'm sorry. I see a.
Yeah. Well, there are landscapes and also amorphous figures inside of that. There are these nebulous clouds that go that's moving in and out of each section of this painting, and there again the technique of dynamic dispersion is very prevalent in this piece. You see that the beautiful texture underneath the color?
Yes.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Yes.
I shouldn't speak of my work in such terms. Allow others to do that,
But you like your own work, huh?
Yeah. I'm very pleased with this latest, body of work. Very pleased with it. Looking forward to increasing the scale.
Oh, you want to increase the scale?
Yes. Yeah. I just ordered 10 stretchers that are 7.5 feet by 7 feet by 7.5 feet. But this scale is 60 by 48. And I love the dry brush. You're familiar with dry brush? Yeah. Sorry. Okay, Charlie.
Somewhat.
I apologize. I apologize, but I've
heard of it. I seem to remember something about dry brush techniques. And
yeah. Oh, okay, good. But you know what it is. But when I paint with dry brush, it gives you such subtlety, and the transitions and shades is magnificent. I love it.
But can you see the landscape? I'm going to show you something. I'm going to say.
Okay, sure. I can see. You familiar with Turner?
Yes.
Turner's work?
Yes.
Now I can see the landscape just as in Turner's work.
Right.
It's abstract, but you can see
you can see like a hidden
yes.
island.
Yes.
And you can see like in the foreground.
There's fog and there's
like a reflection.
Right.
And then even in the background, those two figures could be some rock formation.
Outcroppings.
Outcroppings, yes. Yes. And trees in the background.
That. And then you see that that white shape.
Yes.
Now that looks like it could be the sky that's coming through. No, the top right.
Oh, top right.
See that? See that?
Yeah.
Now that looks like it could be the sky with two mountains on either side.
Right. I see like a couple of different ways of looking at this.
Yes.
As far as in the landscape.
Right.
But also, I just saw something else. I also see I'm going to show you. I'm just having fun looking right now.
Good.
Okay. I know this is unintentional and maybe not even meaningful, but I just saw something.
What did you see?
I see a Greek head.
Greek head?
Oh, I'm touching the wrong thing. I see a Greek head with a nose. The black would be the hair.
Okay, I'm not seeing that.
And it might be hard to see. I wish I could. The black being the hair falling over the forehead.
Okay.
The nose coming down and going back in.
Oh, you're looking at a profile or
profile? Yes.
Okay. Okay.
In the light area, the round circle could be the eye.
Okay.
But under the nose area, you can see a mouth turned up. A line going back to your left.
Okay. Wow.
I don't know if you see that.
I don't.
Let me make it smaller. Maybe you'll see it. Yeah. A huge face, a huge profile on the left-hand side.
Oh, no. Okay. So it incorporates a whole left corner?
Yeah, the left side, but
and it has that flat nose?
Yes. The nose is coming down and cutting back in.
Okay, I see that.
Yeah.
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 Yes. I see that. I also see the subtle reds down on the bottom, right up underneath that.
Right. Yes.
The subtle reds down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very transparent.
Yes. So I was looking at the larger shape.
I see that Greek profile.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but you had to point it out to me.
Yeah.
And therein again, there's the beauty of abstraction.
Yeah, because when the viewer comes, they're just going to pick up what they see. They're not going to have the artist to talk to.
Right.
And they're just going to pick up whatever, Yeah,
and they have to bring something to the canvas, to the work itself.
Yes, they
will. If you oftentimes people see a title,
right?
They can't relate the title to the work itself,
right?
And they're not able to process that. Okay, this is solemnity.
Yeah, I think that title though enhances it. That might be what made me see that face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
the nebulousness is what the clouds, the moving clouds, and the atmosphere, moving atmosphere.
Right.
That was my intention behind the title.
Well, I do, on first sight, just see an abstract expressionist painting.
Right.
But sometimes it's fun to pick out shapes. But
but when I'm always going to find shapes on an abstract expressionist abstract painting.
Mm-hmm.
But I like more than anything how the colors play with each other.
Yeah.
If you see this in person, you'll see that the transparency and the underlying colors, because there's a lot of color coming through. Yeah. A lot of color, and those
it's like an evolution from the first couple of paintings that we looked at.
And that's exactly what it is. It's an evolution of figurative to pure spiritual.
Yes, I can see it moving in that direction.
Yes, because we go from being a physical body to a spiritual body. And that's the intent behind the works from Orange, Utopia to Solemnity. All of the shapes have been broken down, and you get atmospheric color. And I'm going to be painting from that perspective from now on.
Wow.
until I'm
Well,
moved to do something else.
are you sure you're going to do that from now on?
Well, until I preface
How can you be sure?
until I'm moved to do something else. You know, I'm always searching, pushing the envelope, and that to me is I'm searching for something. You know,
I know.
And I'll find it. You know, I'm close to the self-discovery.
I started this week. I started last week 4 paintings that I'm painting at the same time. I don't normally do that.
Right.
Actually, you can look at it on from a long view on my Facebook page, but I'm being filmed for a short movie documentary. Yeah.
Okay.
And you'll be able to see it better though. But
congratulations.
Thank you.
Charlie's Facebook page.
But
so your Facebook page, right?
Yes.
Or your website.
You can see me recording the filming of it.
Okay.
You know? But the thing I was trying to bring up is that I'm doing something I've never done before.
Okay. Which is,
but it was time.
Those 4 in a succession.
I mean, it's totally different than what I've done before. I've been thinking about it for the last year, and I've been waiting to finish some other paintings before I did this one. I don't think it's the end all. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm just working. You know,
just do it. Just do the work.
Yeah, I'm just.
But what was your initial thoughts behind painting them?
It's all a part of the Black Bible.
Okay, no, I know, but painting them all in succession.
I don't normally do that.
I know, but what moved you to do that this time?
So that they would relate to each other.
Okay, yeah, that's a valid reason. That's more of a valid reason than any reason, because if you want them to relate, you have to see them at the same time.
Right. You know? But they started evolving after you know, and they're still evolving. They're not finished.
Okay.
I just started them all.
What scale?
Oh, it's not too, see, what is the scale? It's small. Okay. 30 by 30.
Okay, that's small.
Yeah, it's 30 by 30. And so I'm painting them flat on a table.
Right.
But then I'm going to put them on the easel to see what they look like, because you can't really see it correctly.
No. Well, try putting them on the wall. You can actually get a better perspective. I don't know if you have the space. Well,
I do have the space, but I think I want to put them one at a time on the easel.
Okay, yeah.
You know.
Okay.
Because
are you going to be able to remember and put in your mind the succession?
They're all right there. They're all right there. Well, the succession.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to remember the succession, so I'm going to record it. I'm going to.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, but I'm just thinking about how, you know, sometimes you just jump in the water.
Yeah. And learn how to swim.
Yeah. Even though, you know,
sink or swim.
What I've been doing all year.
Right.
Or I could jump in the water.
Okay.
And I can always go back to what I've been doing all year. But I do that every now and then. I get out of that loop and just jump in the water to.
So what organization or film company filming you?
It's called. Oh, okay. I'll give him a shout out. It's John. It's called Bedrock Films.
Okay.
So they do documentaries.
Okay.
John Beater.
How long is it going to run? 30 minutes, an hour?
No, it's going to be short. I forgot how long it's going to be.
Okay.
In fact, we're going to probably do 2 documentaries. One is going to be very short.
Okay.
And the others might be 10, 15 minutes. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a long, huge documentary at all. It's
Well,
just to promote my work. The
okay.
documentary is to promote the work. Yeah.
I have a friend that's a photographer and videographer, and he and I have been talking for some time about.
Let me give you. This is what something that I've learned
Okay.
this year.
Okay.
Make sure they're full time, because for me, I've worked with a couple of I've talked with a couple of photographers and worked with photographer and people, and I'm telling you, when a person don't do this thing full time,
yeah. Oh, no, that's
they can't
his
see
business.
what you see.
That's how he makes his living.
Yes.
Yes, that's how he.
Yes.
I mean,
They can't see what you see.
Yeah.
A lot of, sometimes people, in our community, they say, well, use this person, use that person.
He and I were in grad school together, so we've.
Oh, so he's.
We're symbiotic. We know each other so well.
Okay.
That, we know each other so well that I know his work, he knows my work, and what we wanted to do was create a documentary on Black abstraction. I don't think there are some abstract artists out there. William T. Williams.
There's a lot of Black abstractionists out there,
but no one knows about the Black abstractionists. They only know about the Black figurative artists.
Well,
Alma
recently.
Right.
Well, let's not say nobody knows, because
someone knows, but not to a great extent.
The machine, the art machine, is working now, because due to the marches last year,
right?
And so now they're promoting the figurative artists, when they had not in
the past. They had not promoted Black art at all.
Right. So now even some of the figurative artists are not that great.
Right.
There's a few good ones. Maybe I count on one hand.
Bearden and Romare Bearden and
I'm talking about now.
You're talking about contemporary figurative
art. Contemporary.
Kende Wiley, he cracked that nut. He started it. Yes, I think before Kende, they were still talking about.
I probably shouldn't talk. I don't want to call any names, because I have some strong opinions about a lot of the artists.
So we all do.
Names.
We all have strong opinions. It's all right to voice your opinion, but I understand if you don't. But as I was saying, they were rehashing Lawrence and Bearden until Kende Wiley came on the scene. And when he came on the scene, I think it was a tidal wave. It was like, he brought all the other figurative artists with him.
I don't see it as that. I disagree with that one.
You do? Oh, how so? How? Okay.
I don't believe he brought all the other figurative artists with him at all.
It wasn't his doing. It was just the machine started to look at other figurative artists. When I think
that what's happening is that some of these major
museums.
Well, I'm going to say the major auction houses and galleries see that there's a lot of money in it.
Oh yeah, but see, you had to be in the Kende Wiley started to sell some beautiful brushstrokes are incredible.
Right, yeah.
It was different, and it started to sell.
Well, so before Kehinde,
museums started to show it.
Before Kehinde, there was Basquiat.
Yes, but Basquiat was not figurative, so to speak. He was like,
yes, that's what he is, figurative.
Well, he was more. Are you familiar with the Fauves? He was more of a Fauvish artist.
I wouldn't call him Fauve, not Basquiat. The Fauve. You call him Fauve?
He was Fauvish. I mean, he was. No. Like childlike. I mean, his work was
childlike, but not Fauvish. He's when he came along during the 70s. See, this is how we talk.
Yes.
Let our audience know. We don't forget about the audience. But I am gonna say this:
we don't always recorded. We're still being recorded.
Yeah, we're still being recorded. We can cut it off though. It's not live. It's not live now.
Okay.
But it will be tomorrow. We're going to stream it on Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Okay.
But I like this. I like this between us two because
Yes, so do I.
Basquiat in the 70s,
Hmm.
the art world needed painting to come back.
They did because they were trying to
Painting
kill
was
it.
considered to be dead.
Yeah, they were trying to kill painting, you know. So
But they killed it. They
yes.
considered that painting
But
was
you
dead.
still had Gerhard Richter and
Yes,
those guys
did.
out there.
You did.
Cy Twombly, you still had them. Damien Hirst, you still
You
had
did.
them out there painting.
You did.
But you know, it was stale. They thought it was stale.
Especially in America, though.
Yeah, absolutely in America.
Especially in America.
More so in America than anywhere. And that's
Right.
Basquiat. He was different.
They were looking for something different. So that's where, but the Basquiat's and the what's the other subway painter, the graffiti artist,
Keith Haring.
Keith Haring.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, hey, they were taggers. They really weren't artists. They were called
Right.
taggers.
Yes.
You know, doing stuff on walls and
train
cardboard boxes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but if you look at
Warhol was still, hot
doing, yeah, but Warhol was on the way out, you know, and he needed actually that's how Basquiat, in my mind.
Yes, it is true.
That's how Basquiat was discovered.
Right.
You know,
Warhol.
because
Warhol discovered him.
Yeah, he did.
And
he
he
started riding his coattails.
Yes.
You know, started to but you know, I'm not knocking that.
Not me either.
You know, but I've never liked Warhol. He's always been an advertising artist to me. You know, he started out as an
However, like him or hate him, he was sort of a prophet because he predicted what we're doing right now.
Yeah, he predicted that art was going to become a commodity, you know, rather than keeping it as one of these mystical pursuits. You know, he reduced it down to a commodity.
And also he said that, everybody would have their, how many minutes of fame?
15 minutes.
15 minutes of
15
fame.
15 minutes of fame.
And that's what you and I, that's what we're experiencing now.
Right. Yeah.
Warhol
you gave me an hour. You know, you gave, and I appreciate that.
Well, Michael, on that note, brother, thank you so much. This has been great. This has been fun. We're going to have to do it again sometime.
Yes. We got to do it once a year. I don't know. How often do you, want to hear from one artist?
Our funders.
Yeah, but you don't want to just use the same artist all the time. So you can just use, another, when a year comes around and I've done something spectacular, we can, that way it stays fresh. Fresh is very important, Charlie, in art. You're right.
That's true. That is true. That is true.
You gotta stay fresh. So
I appreciate you, man.
Oh, you're welcome. How do we what do we do? You just getting ready to sign off?
Yes.
Iantha, thank you.
Yes, thank you for joining us. And let's just thank our audience for listening to us go back and forth,
And you're saying we're still live, right?
Yes, we're still live, and so we appreciate the audience. And I'm going to sign off right now until next time.
Until next time.
Yes.
Yes. Be safe,
everyone.
Yeah. Take care, Charlie.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye-bye.